opt for, subscribe to, and those services are given, and the consuming public is satisfied. So service have to be available, it has to be accessible, and it has to be affordable.
So Mr.
Because money is difficult to come by.
Mr. Fode, as a journalist, you understand, I still want to play the devil's advocate.
Please do.
Based on, comments I've been getting from the public during diverse discussion, don't you think that it is because of Orange, speed, let me say in network, when you talk about internet, that is making the public to be sending this sort of complaint? Because many people, when you talk to them, say, I'm using Orange is faster. So when Orange has breakdown, you get this type of complaints coming in faster, because when you talk about internet, they have more subscribers than others.
No, not necessarily that. The fact of the matter, like I mentioned just now, Orange and Africell are dominant players. QCell has come in, they are punching above their weight, and we are okay with that, which is good. As I sit here, we have 2 new entrants at the door, looking forward to come into this sector too. The market, the space is not closed. We are, as we talk now, we are processing the applications.
Okay.
The more the merrier. The more the merrier. So what we are saying here is customer loyalty, the trust from the customer expectations. Because if you have improved, you've done upgrade, you've done modernization, you've done optimization, you've done swapping, all of those ones you have done is to have reliability in the service, so that the people will enjoy it. So if there are concerns about that from the people, it is incumbent upon you to fix those concerns, so that the consuming public will continue to hook on to your network, and the service will be provided relatively heat free.
Now that you're giving Orange 7 days ultimatum to fix this, mounting issues which you have been giving them years to fix, don't you think that's a very short period of time? Do you think they have the capability to fix this, as the public is really mounting pressure as we speak?
Yeah, they will be able to do it. They have done that much. In our last engagement, we are told that they have done 95% of that. So as we sit here, we should be able, and we are going to do again a network audit, a system audit. We use our base station analyzer, and then we have to look at their performance files. All of those ones are relating to what? Quality of service. So that once we do that, we know it is okay, then we'll get back to the public. And the public themselves, once they are using their services, they'll be able to see the expectations from them, and their experiences will be shared with us, and will be shared with all of the service providers. Well, I think it's better now, and we are okay with it. Once we get that, we'll come back to the public and let them know where we are and where we are not.
Just quickly, maybe before we go to our next episode in the program, for those who will be networks coming in, maybe you will have to, because you are a regulatory body, you will have to really be pinpointing. If you have to have a stronger network, maybe like you are saying, maybe they are punching above their weight. No sooner they start having becoming internet service providers, they want to go into mobile money. All of these things, it hampers their network, don't you think?
No, it takes time. The fact of the matter is, when you want to come in, you have your rollout plan, and even this upgrade they are doing, you do it in clusters. Say, for example, they can look at western area, rural, say, for example, between Waterloo and Tombo and onto Hamilton, we'll look at that cluster. We want to come to this end in Freetown, we can look at the cluster around Allentown and Wellington and those areas. They don't just look at the entire country and then do upgrade across the board. They have to look at it in clusters. And even with the new entrants at the door wanting to come in, when they come in, they have to process their applications, and if they come in, they will not just allow them to stay in Freetown, because Freetown is not Sierra Leone. The fact of the matter is, we want to have a digitally inclusive Sierra Leone, so you yourselves will have to reach out to global audiences through service provided by connectivity.
All right, sir. Continue to in the program is Director Abdul Ben Fode from NATCA.
Yes, viewers, we now go over to look at the headlines of our local tabloids. And for my own end, the first paper I have here is Awareness Times newspaper. They say, we bring what each member of parliament said during the debate. MP statement in ratifying MCC's $480 million cash. Tardiness of 5th parliament leaves ECSL in a bind over Kenema elections. These stories are more aligned up in the Awareness Times newspaper.
So for my first pick in today's newspaper review, I begin with the Independent Observer newspaper, and it opens with a banner headline, Mr. President, can we talk? Part 32. Sports creates jobs and brings value for money, quoting Dr. Safar Abdullahi, telling the Boxing Association. JNJF engages widows on upcoming fundraising luncheon sale. FCC meets World Bank, RUSLP support mission. These are stories you can find on the front page of the Independent Observer newspaper.
Well, my next here is the AYB newspaper, and it says AYB hosts 14 Regional Military Center of Excellence. Sierra Leone to host Women in Tourism Regional Congress. Health Minister addresses pending doctors' strike. These stories and more are lined up in the AYB newspaper.
My next pick happens to be the Awoko newspaper, and it opens with a banner headline, US Treasury and Sierra Leone explore IMF resilience and sustainability trust opportunities. Sierra Leone seizes 81% increase in cultivated rice. Foreign agriculture's oil palm plantation, a catalyst for economic growth in Timadale Chiefdom. These are stories you can find on the front page of the Awoko newspaper.
And my next here is the Premier News newspaper, and it says court injunct election of Alfred Banaduma, and it says stranded in Lebanon, Sierra Leone women shelter in warehouse. FCC meets World Bank support mission. These stories and more are lined up in the Premier News newspaper.
For headline making news in the Standard Times newspaper, which happens to be my final pick for today's newspaper review, over suspension of Chief Corey, Provincial Secretary summons Speaker. 7-day interim injunction, High Court slams on Banduma. To go with that is a portrait of Peter Yabasu, Chiefdom Speaker of Corey Chiefdom. But MBSSE signs contract with Tiwa Memory Masters. Our stories you can find on the Standard Times newspaper, which happens to be my final pick.
Well, my next one here is the Global Times newspaper, and it says VP Julia Jalop opens peace conference. The photo of the VP himself. President Bio receives royal welcome. The president receiving the royal welcome. YSC Broad, magistrate issues bench warrants. These stories and more are lined up in the Global Times newspaper. And the final newspaper I have here is from the Standard Times, a Standard Times newspaper. Over suspension of Chief Corey, Provincial Secretary summons Speaker. 7-day interim injunction, High Court slams on Banduma. These stories and more are lined up in the Standard Times newspaper. Viewers, mind you, the story that you have, they do not reflect the views of the SLBC, rather are local tabloids.
Well, from there we want to move over to our traffic update for this morning. Let's join our very own Jonathan Turner.
In a rare occurrence, commuters along Hillcourt Road and Jomo Kenyatta Road enjoyed a smooth and uninterrupted flow of traffic during the morning hours of today. The usual congested roads, which serve as a key route into the central business districts, were remarkably free of the typical gridlock that frustrates drivers and slows down movement. The free flow of traffic came as a result of the heavy downpour last night. This route to get to work, school and other activities is a bustling city center. It's hope that such movement will continue across the city.
Many thanks to Jonathan Turner for putting today's traffic updates together. Quickly we want to wrap up the program, so for that we will go again to our guest. Of course, Mr. Sise, you've been silent for a while. Now that you are having this AGM, what is going to be the requirement for those that are going to be part of it? Quickly, in less than 5 seconds.
Well, we have got a membership.
Okay.
So all of them are invited to be there. And most have said, because we are building up this whole structure. As I told you about the incidents of stroke. It's everywhere. But I just told you about the partners we have invited. It covers the ministry, as I said, health, NGOs, both local and international. You know, the mayor of Freetown will be there. Pharmacy board will be there.
And when's that
Private
taking
sector.
place?
The private sector. We also have religious leaders. Because you see, it's better all of us are so that we can all attack this problem and resolve it. But we are very, very anxious to go out of Freetown. We already have members there. We want to build it up so that it will be a national solution to the problem.
All right, thank you very much. Over to you, Director Ben Foley. Now that you've given this service ultimatum, and of course NATCA is working its own effort to really improve on service provision for network around the country, what are you really looking forward to see?
Well, thank you very much. We are looking forward to seeing improvement in service delivery. Service delivery should be key. What we are looking forward to is to see where we are. We look forward to moving in leaps and bounds. If we are going to digitalization and we say now digital rights are now human rights, if that is the case, then we should be able to, the service providers, we should see to it that the service providers provide a service for the consuming public so that they themselves will have value for money. I'll be able to give the assurance to the people that we at NATCA, the regulatory body, will do everything in our power to ensure that the value for money which they are seeking will be achieved, that the services which they are providing, those services will be top-notch, that the services which they are getting from those people will be able to be to the best of their satisfaction. The fact of the matter is, if I subscribe, let me enjoy the subscription for which I have paid. We'll do that, and then we'll move on. Salon will be developed. I will continue to move on in leaps and bounds with respect to developing this country we call Sierra Leone.
Thank you very much. I'm afraid we have to leave you there. Director Ben Foley from NATCA. He's the Director for Corporate and Industry Affairs, NATCA. And of course, to you, Mr. Eunice Assisi from the Stroke Association of Sierra Leone. As you'll be having your AGM, wish you all the best in your endeavors. But that's why we draw the curtains into this edition of the program Good Morning Sierra Leone. It has been produced by Daphne Zanab-Kamara. Many thanks to the production team. Until then, I'm Dennis Fraser.
Before we leave you, let's take the quote again. It's from an American author, Zig Ziglar, and it says, "Your attitude, not your aptitude, will determine your altitude." Well, that's how we say goodbye to today's Good Morning Show program. Good Morning Sierra Leone returns tomorrow same time. I have been Emmanuel Samuel.
The OKNP landscape is more rich in biodiversity. If you come in the OKNP, you will see different type of animals: chimpanzee, hippo, elephant, Maxwell duiker, red flank duiker, etc., etc., and even the colobus monkey, patas monkey, that are in the park. We're here this morning with the Wabile
Eco Guards with Dr. Moses, Amara, Emmanuel, and Dr. Rosa doing the camera trap practicals and also how to do reference video making. We're getting ready for tomorrow as we're going to go to the field for 10 days to set up camera trap in 3 different locations with 3 teams. We survey the transect and take data and also do camera traps. For some transect we have 2 cameras, for some transect we have 1, and some transect we just have to resurvey.
Being one of the Wabile staff, we don't learn a lot today from yesterday to today concerning this camera trapping. We will go for 10 days.
I'm Eco Guard for Wabile. I have learned a lot. We are here for training how to set up camera trap, also with a transient land. I'm very happy for being Eco Guard for Wabile because I have a lot of experience now how to protect this land, and I know what to do and what not to do in the forest.
Due to the intervention of many projects like ECOD, Wabile, OKKPS, then we have started seeing some changes. So I think the community members also really appreciate the work of those projects that are bringing development in their chiefdom in the name of protecting this particular conservation area. With also the community members are now ready full force to support those projects to see how best they can achieve their goal. And they are always thanking the donors that are giving their money to those projects to sponsor community members. Wabile also is now working along the Kilimi axis to Kuru. They also are now trying to see how best we can able to know the different type of animals that are in there. For the community members, they never know if we have chimpanzee or another elephant. Due to the effort of the Wabile and the OKKPS and ECOD, now community members have started knowing that yes, we have elephant, we have chimpanzee, we have leopard. Then this is the good things for the chiefdom because this can encourage the tourism to be in the park and to do more investment. This also encourage the community members also to contribute to support the project because they are seeing their children working with the project. And conservation is good because it creates more job for the youth, it creates more employment, more investment. So it will be good if this will continue for the next 10 to 15 years. That can help the conservation area to be protected and the community members also to be feel part of the decision making.
At Sky Vision College, we offer more than just education. We provide the tools to shape your future in technology. Our bachelor's degree programs, computer science and business information technology, are designed to equip you with the skills and knowledge needed for today's fast evolving tech industry. We also offer advanced diploma courses in areas like software engineering and infrastructure management services, and other certification courses such as ethical hacking, cloud computing, CCNA and more. It ensuring you are job ready for the competitive world ahead.
Come to number 5 Main Motor Road, Wilberforce, Freetown. Call us on 072 797979 or 032 979797. Follow us on our social media channels for more updates.
We are the national broadcaster, and I am Sulaiman Baba Toure, a reporter and presenter at the SLBC. Your voice, my voice.
From the commercial department, I am Regina Bangura. You are watching SLBC. Your voice, my voice.
I am Jonathan Turner, a reporter for Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation, SLBC. As a reporter, I do stories on education, health, politics, and more. Stay glued with SLBC to watch my stories. Your voice, my voice.
Lucian Ganda, producer Weyus, and producer and presenter Christian Editions on TV. This is the SLBC.
I am William Wise, presenter Weyus and also reporter at the SLBC. And this is the SLBC.
I am Salma Tabak, television executive producer. I produce programs on both radio and television. I'm a news anchor, a presenter, an announcer on radio. I enjoy what I do because I serve a public service broadcaster. It's a pleasure to work with the SLBC. I am Tilly Koma, Head of News and Current Affairs Unit, Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation. Our news hour now covers several segments. We have entertainment, business, weather, sports, ferry schedule, and human interest stories, not forgetting politics. We are doing all that to keep you people posted on what's happening all over the country. Thanks for being with us at SLBC. Keep blue. We are the best.
Sierra Leone is a country on a new path of development, a new direction. As we awaken to a new sense of patriotism and pride as Sierra Leoneans, the SLBC brings together enlightened senior citizens with much experience to help steer Sierra Leoneans on the path of a defined course of pride and consciousness, a constructive nationalism. So, join the SLBC for the program Constructive Nationalism. Come and let's build Sierra Leone every Saturday at 3 p.m. on the SLBC. Constructive Nationalism on the SLBC.
Of Stockholm in 1980. As we move forward, ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming the chairman for today's event with the theme We Reform to Revamp. Ambassador Suleiman B. Tarabi with a standing round of applause. Good morning, everybody. I used to say, and I've said before, that Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. Is it because you've not been served breakfast yet? We have breakfast at 11 o'clock anyway. I used to say, and I've said it all the time, that in Sierra Leone, you do not need people to sell your career. Pray that you are given the opportunity to chair an occasion, and you have an intelligent gentleman who introduces you, he markets you to excellence. Thank you very much. What's the name of the gentleman? Where are you? Thank you very much. And I'm sorry I couldn't sit to talk. I spent all my life running around as a protocol officer. I've been so much used to standing that when I sit, I'm most uncomfortable. So please forgive me for coming to the podium. This is my very brief statement. I want to begin by thanking all of you for coming to this very crucial validation meeting for the strategic master plan to revamp the public service architecture in Sierra Leone. retired civil servant, together with so many retired civil servants at Sierra, I am honored to be chosen as chairman for the event. And I stand here with pride, enthusiasm, and a sense of optimism for the transformative potentials of this strategic plan. Over the years, the public service sector in Sierra Leone has faced several challenges that have hindered its effectiveness and efficiency in service delivery. It is very important to break since April 27, 1961. I wonder how many of us were around. And we did it more force since December 1975, when I joined the service as a young administrative officer. So I believe it is very important now that we address our challenges head-on and develop a comprehensive plan that will not only revamp the public service architecture, but also prepare the way for a more responsive and effective system. The strategic plan we're here to validate today speaks to this point. It is a roadmap that outlines clear goals, objectives, and action plans to ensure that the public service in Sierra Leone is equipped to meet the evolving needs and expectations of all of us. I urge you all to actively participate in today's discussion, provide valuable feedback, and ultimately endorse the master plan. Your input is invaluable and will help to shape the future of the public service in Sierra Leone better. I am confident that with our collective effort and commitment, we can achieve meaningful and sustainable improvement for the public service sector. Let us work together towards a more efficient, transparent, and citizen-centric public service that will benefit all Sierra Leone. I want to welcome everyone and look forward to sincere and fruitful deliberations. Thank you very much. Now I can sit and become the dictator of the day. With those few words, I want to invite the Honorable Deputy Minister, Philip Tondole, to welcome all of us and give us reasons for being here.
Mr. Chairman, it is with great pleasure and honor that I welcome you all, the secretaries, partners, members of the diplomatic and consular corps, civil society members, the fourth estate, esteemed civil and public sector workers, ladies and gentlemen. It is with great pleasure and honor that I welcome you all to this important event, the validation of the public service transformative strategy of Sierra Leone. And it marks a significant step in our collective journey towards building a more efficient, transparent, and responsive public service system for the people of Sierra Leone. The public service is the backbone of our nation's development, and its transformation is essential for delivering growth, social progress, and improved governance. In the medium-term National Development Plan, Pillar 5.5 speaks to transforming the public service architecture, and page 111, the ministry derives its mandate coordinating the affairs of the public sector institutions in revamping the public service architecture. In this medium-term National Development Plan, there are 6 pillars for revamping the public service. Structure alignment and rationalization of mandates we face as a nation. The strategy will serve as a roadmap for modernizing our public institutions, fostering accountability, and enhancing the capacities and competencies of our civil servants to meet the evolving needs of the Sierra Leone people. Our presence here today is representative from diverse sectors, demonstrate a collective commitment to shaping a public service that is more innovative, efficient, and citizen-centered. I encourage all of you to engage actively in this validation process. Feedbacks and expertise are very critical to ensuring that this strategy is both comprehensive and practical, setting a solid foundation for reflect the values and aspirations of our nation. I thank you all for your participation and look forward to a fruitful and constructive dialogue. Once again, welcome and thank you for your dedication to transforming our public service for a better Sierra Leone. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I didn't set time here. Now it's time for the minister to give us an overview. But I think we have some structural adjustments. Oh, okay. All right. It is my pleasure, therefore, to invite the minister to do.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman, Ambassador Sule Darami, Director General of the Public Service Academy, the Secretary to the President and Principal Advisor to the President on the Public Service, Dr. Emmanuel Gaina, who is the guest speaker for today's occasion, Madam Kenema, Minister of Planning and Economic Development and the champion for the medium-term National Development Plan, the Deputy Minister of Public Administration and Political Affairs, Honorable my mentor, Chairman for the Parliamentary Committee on Public Administration and Political Affairs, Chairman Public Service Commission, Mr. Karibu Oba, the Head of Civil Service and Secretary to the Cabinet, Mr. John Sumaila, the Acting Director General Human Resource Management Office President, Mr. Wake, Director Public Service Reform Unit, Mr. Suleiman Foremusa, Chief Executive Officer, Wages and Compensation Commission, Mr. David Kanya, represents Chairman of the Wages and Compensation Commission, Mr. Alpha Tibo, representative of the Ministry of Information and Civic Education, representative of the Ministry of Gender and Children Affairs, representative of the Ministry of Communication, Technology and Innovation, all heads and representative of commissions, departments and agencies, development partners present here, representative of the government of Sierra Leone, public ministers, members of the public and civil service, esteemed partners from the UNDP and the World Bank, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, good morning. It is a great honor to come before you today on behalf of the government of Sierra Leone to share an overview of a critical endeavor that will shape the future of our country, the strategic master plan for the revamp of the public service. This plan represents a new chapter in the history of public service delivery in Sierra Leone. one that redefines our ambition, our strategies, and most importantly, our commitment to serving our people effectively. As we embark on this journey of transformation, it is essential to recognize the traits that have brought us to this stage of validation. This strategic plan would have not been possible without the concerted effort of our government in partnership with the United Nations Development Program, which is represented by our sister minister, the World Bank, who has provided technical support, and the strong commitment of our various public and civil service regulatory and supervision institutions, that the PSC, the HRM, and other ministries and agencies. Their combined support, financial, technical, and strategic, has made the foundation for a public service should be efficient, inclusive, and accountable. Public service is the backbone of governance. It is through the dedication of our civil servants that policies are translated into meaningful actions. However, we are all aware of the challenges that have historically plagued our public sector and an overall inability to meet the demands. The strategic master plan seeks to confront these challenges head-on. It is a comprehensive roadmap aimed at revamping the public service into an agile, innovative, and inclusive institution. This plan will not only modernize our administrative functions, but also ensure that public service can support the nation's development goals effectively. Allow me, ladies and gentlemen, to highlight a few of the objectives that underpin this plan. 1. Institutional reforms. We aim to restructure and strengthen public institutions to enhance coordination, reduce bureaucratic bottlenecks, and increase productivity. This will involve reviewing correct organizational setups, policies, and mandates to ensure compliance with our national development priorities. Human resource development. At the heart of every successful public service are its people. This plan envisions a complete overhaul of the human resource management system, from recruitment to retirement, with a strong emphasis on meritocracy, capacity building, and continuous professional development. We want to attract, train, and retain the best minds to serve our nation. Digital transformation. In today's world, digital innovation is a necessity, not a luxury. The strategic master plan focuses on the integration of ICT to streamline operations, improve data management, and foster accountability. By embracing technology, we can ensure that our services are more accessible, transparent, and efficient. Improved service delivery. Our ultimate goal is to enhance the quality of services provided to the citizens of Sierra Leone. By decentralizing service delivery and empowering local governments, we'll bring government services closer to the people, particularly in rural areas. Good governance and accountability. Transparency and accountability must be the guiding principles of this reform. The plan includes mechanisms for better monitoring, evaluation, and feedback systems, ensuring that civil servants are held accountable and the public service is more responsive to the needs of the population. As we validate this strategic master plan, I would like to express our profound gratitude to the United Nations Development Program for their continued support and the World Bank for their unwavering technical support. Your financial contributions, technical assistance, and global expertise have been invaluable in guiding this process. The government of Sierra Leone remains committed to working closely with all our partners to ensure that this vision becomes a reality. This collaboration is a testament to what we can achieve when national and international partners unite for a common cause. Together, we are paving the way for a public service that not only meets international standards, but is also unique, tailored to the needs of our country. The validation process we are engaging today is a critical milestone. It signifies that we are on the right path, but it is also a reminder that much work lies ahead. With the strategic plan validated, we will move swiftly into the implementation phase, ensuring that the necessary resources, expertise, and leadership are in place to make this plan a success. The government of Sierra Leone is fully committed to providing the political will and support needed to ensure that the transformation is realized. We understand that a robust public service is essential to achieving the broader goals of sustainable development, poverty alleviation, and economic growth. Ladies and gentlemen, as we proceed with today's discussion, let us be reminded of the significance of the task before us. The reform of our public service is not just a governance initiative, it is a national imperative. It is about creating a public service that reflects the values and aspirations of every Sierra Leonean, a service that works in the interest of the people. With the backing of the UNDP, the World Bank, the EU and other development partners, and the commitment of the government of Sierra Leone, I have no doubt that we are poised for success. Together, let us ensure that this strategic master plan becomes the driving force behind a new era of governance and service delivery in our beloved nation. Thank you, and I look forward to a fruitful deliberation today. God bless.
So, thank you, Mr. Minister. He gave his presentation in 6 minutes, 7 seconds. And he has set the pace. I want to admonish all of us who are going to make statements to please keep within the time limits. 5 minutes for everybody who's going to talk, except, of course, our guest speaker. With that, we go to statements straight away. Thank you, Mr. Minister. May I call the representative country? Okay, unfortunately. I would like to invite the country manager of World Bank or his representative. Okay, you might bring the way. Similarly, so I want to invite the country representative from the European Union delegation in Sierra Leone. Are they on the way? Okay, I can start them when they come. Oh, okay, I've just been informed that today's Thursday. The UN country team meets on Thursdays. They might join us along the way, and we'll give them the privilege to make some statement. It is now my singular pleasure and honor to invite my Minister of Planning and Economic Development, Kenema.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, my dear brothers to me. And I stand on all existing established protocols. I was not expecting to make a statement. I was just coming to support my colleague. So you have two areas or two sections of people, groups of people will be pleased because of this. One are my staff, because whenever they do prepare statements, they're annoyed that I don't read them anyway. And then the second will be the audience, because I will be much shorter than usual. The reason why I made sure I was here today is, as everybody calls me, the custodian of the Big 5 game changers, which are incorporated into the medium-term National Development Plan. So any discussion, strategic plan, validation, anything to do with the Big 5 game changers, I'm always there, not always at the high table somewhere, just sitting in the corner, or I make sure I send my staff who provide feedback. The interesting thing about this particular game changer, transforming the public sector architecture, is that it is one of the most challenging. You've got the 5 game changers, and they have all been constructed in such a way that you have that synergistic impact. But the final, the number 5, is the one that is the most overlooked, but it is the most critical. straightforward for us, those in the agricultural sector, fishery sector, feed salon, we know what to do. Human capital development, we know the areas to address and what to do. Youth employment scheme, likewise. Infrastructure and technology, likewise. And so when we used to have debates on the medium-term national development plan, you would have every sector saying how important they were. Health sector, yes, we need the health sector for people to stay alive, but if you have food, you won't be able to stay alive. If you're not educated, then you will not have workers, etc., etc. But then the Minister of Public Administration will sit down quietly in the corner and smile and say, all of you people are arguing, but if the public sector is not transformed, not any of these programs are going to go ahead. And he gave us the concept, if you've seen the schema or the diagram on the front of the medium-term development plan, in which you have a triangle, a pyramid on a base. He said, you four are the pillars, but transforming the public sector architecture is the foundation. If this doesn't work, none of your programs are going to make an impact. And we have always considered this very seriously in the Ministry of Planning and Economic Development. If we don't get this right, there will be limited delivery in the feed salon program, but even down to the extension workers will not be able to deliver. Same with the health sector. There are so many problems in the health sector that are related to delivery, financing, procurement, lack of transparency, and they all stem from the reforming of the public sector architecture. So within the plan, all of these areas have been considered, and it's not just for the game changers, but also for the 5 enablers. And delivery is one of the 5 enablers. So we also capture pillar 5 under the enablers. So our being here today and our getting it right will ensure that we do deliver a successful medium-term development plan. There are so many areas that need to be addressed, which I will just touch on because I know the keynote speaker will have to say something about these areas. But the 5 areas that we looked at that were very, very crucial were the duplication of employment patterns. We need to look at these government institutions, and I think that is a main area that this plan will address. The rationalization of mandates of ministries, agencies, directorates, commissions. That's very important. Another area is the human resources. There's a very high turnover of human resources in the public sector. And what happens is, you've got a few strong people that stay, and that's why we keep on retired public servants. These retired public servants, they all look so young because I interacted with them at least 20 years back, and this like Sapulu and also Keoba, they don't look a year older than the last time I saw them. We keep them there. There is a resource, but somewhere in between middle level manpower, there is such a high turnover. And then you've got the weak human resources, the weaker, that we are not addressing. We're really not addressing, and it seems to be going from bad to worse. As I mentioned, there's also the area of the lack of transparency and a number of other areas that really need to be addressed. If we don't address these areas, we're not going anywhere. So within the plan, and I'm sure these have been incorporated into the document, the areas that we've looked at is structural alignment and alignment of mandates, human resource management and manpower planning, public sector coordination. and management, monitoring and evaluation, and performance management. We're still not taking that seriously. Even within our ministry, the other day we had a conversation and we were talking about promotions, and they said, what's the criteria? I said, my criteria is performance. But in the general civil service, it's the time that you come in. Whether you perform or you don't perform, you're promoted. And I said, in my ministry, we're going to merge both of them and see, because I can't go way out of the civil service, but the change is coming when people look at performance in terms of, and not just the hours that you're seated there. The other area is e-governance, and the minister has mentioned that. We need to transform, and I think we're going to have a presentation on e-governance, so I won't go into that much detail. But there's also the area of incentives. There are two sides of the coin. You say public servants are corrupt, police are corrupt. Every area you go, there's corruption. At the end of life, there's money under the table. We have to find a way of addressing this. I see that Sule is looking at his watch, and I thought I'd be shorter if I didn't have a written statement, but I think I'm reaching the 5-minute mark. So I want to wish, Mr. Minister, I want to congratulate you on this meeting. I see you have the guru giving the keynote address, so I will not talk anymore, but I just have one final comment, that gender mainstreaming, and you did mention that, is part of the plan. It's one of the principles of the plan, and it's also an enabler. Anytime we go to an event like this, the percentage of women is not up to 30%. So, for Papa, we need to work on this. I know that we usually have males. You only have females probably in the medical profession, and even in education is primary school teachers. We have to really implement the GUI Act and ensure that we have 30% women in every, 30% or more, above 30%, a minimum in every profession. Having said that, I'd like to wish you well, and I look forward to seeing the output of these deliberations and the validated strategic plan. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Minister. Actually, my clock stopped at 5:1. Thank you very much. I think we have a presentation that's going to be online now. It's from the Center Agency for Organization and Administration, Norwegian. May I kindly ask the speaker to and Madam Minister, please. You can, yes, give the cue and he can comment. Mr. Minister, please.
Hello, Professor, you can go on. You can go on. Ma'am.
Listen, can you hear me?
Yeah, clear.
Good. Listen. Honorable Ministers, dear Brother Minister Amara Kalou, distinguished guests, at the outset, allow me to extend my congratulations to the government of Sierra Leone for embarking on this ambitious and transformative journey. The reform of public service architecture is a reflection of the vision and commitment of a nation that aspires for greater governance, efficiency, and service to its citizens. It's a landmark achievement that signifies the resolve to build a public sector capable of responding to the ever-evolving needs of society and adapting to the challenges of the modern world. Today, we are not just delegating a strategic document, but rather witnessing a new era for Sierra Leone, where the public sector is revitalized to foster sustainable development, improve service delivery, and enhance good governance. Let me briefly highlight the following points. Why the public sector reform is important. Needless to say that the public sector serves as the backbone of any nation. It is the foundation upon which the delivery of essential services rests. The way in which the public sector is structured and operates has a direct impact on the daily lives of the citizens. An efficient, transparent, accountable public service architecture is crucial for fostering the trust between the government and its people. It is this trust that forms the bedrock of societal cohesion and progress. The revamp of Sierra Leone's public service architecture, therefore, is not merely an administrative exercise, but a vital step toward achieving national development goals. By aligning the public service with the principles of good governance, inclusivity, and innovation, Sierra Leone is laying an important foundation in its march towards a brighter and more prosperous future. The Egyptian journey of public sector reform. In Egypt, we have traveled a similar path for public sector reform. Over the years, the government has implemented strategic reforms aimed at modernizing the public service, ensuring transparency and equal opportunities in recruitment and promotions, enhancing the capabilities of civil servants, improving the national institutional efficiency and effectiveness, and improving service delivery to our citizens. These reforms have not been without their challenges, but through resistance and a clear vision, we have achieved significant milestones. We have learned valuable lessons that I'm confident will resonate with Sierra Leone's journey. First and foremost, reform emanated from the strong political will and support of our leadership. It was based on a clear commitment from the highest level of government to ensure that the vision is not only well articulated but also implemented in a consistent and sustainable manner. Secondly, public sector reform must be people-centered. The ultimate goal is to improve the lives of the citizens, and as such, the voices of all stakeholders must be heard and incorporated into the reform process. Finally, reform is an ongoing process. It's not just a one-time event, but a continuous effort to adapt to changing circumstances, technologies, and societal needs. We stand ready to share our experiences, knowledge, and good practices with Sierra Leone through cooperation in different areas of public administration reform, among them but not limited to legislative reform, capacity building, digitalization, and technical assistance. We are committed to supporting Sierra Leone in achieving its public sector reform goals. By learning from one another, we can accelerate progress and address any challenges. In terms of the pillars of the strategic reform of the public sector in Egypt, in my view, among the four pillars that underpins the successful transformation of public service architecture are the following, and of course, in addition to the legal reform. First, institutional restructuring. A well-structured public sector is essential for ensuring that responsibilities are clearly defined, resources are optimally allocated, and accountability mechanisms are fairly in place. Second, capacity building and human resources development. The heart of the public sector lies in its people, civil servants, who are dedicated to serving the public with integrity and excellence. Investing in their skills, knowledge, and professional development is critical to achieving long-term reform success. Third, digitalization and technological innovation. In today's rapidly changing world, the use of technology is indispensable in streamlining processes, reducing inefficiencies, and enhancing transparency. E-governance solutions and digital transformation are integral components in modern public service architecture. Fourth, good governance. It's through transparency that the trust in public institutions is built. And it is through accountability that citizens are assured the government is working in their best interests. Strengthening these principles will not only enhance governance, but also ensure the sustainability of the reforms. In conclusion, I'm confident that the validation of this strategy today marks the beginning of a transformative journey that will positively impact every aspect of Sierra Leone. From governance to service delivery, from education to healthcare, and from economic growth to societal development. Once again, we commend the leadership and people of Sierra Leone for their commitment to the public sector reform. Your dedication to building a better future for your country is truly inspiring, and I have no doubt that you will achieve the ambitious goals you have set. I pledge our continued support as you embark on this journey. Together, through collaboration, shared knowledge, and unwavering determination, we can build a brighter and more prosperous future for all. Thank you so much. And now there is a video, as an example of the reform we already have achieved. Thank you so much again.
وحتى الآن تم تقديم أكثر من 76,000 لمختلف الوظائف، وكانت فيه العديد من المسابقات للجهاز المركزي للتنظيم والإدارة بينسق مع الجهة فيما يتعلق بالاحتياجات من الموارد البشرية بعد تنسيق مرفع مذكرة العرض في 5 رئيس فيما يتعلق بعدد الوظائف المطلوبة والإعلان عنها وتطبيق الإعلان وإعادة مرات المسابقة وما إلى ذلك تفاصيل سنة بين التصديق في خلال الرئيسية ونبدأ تنفيذ المسابقة.
أول حاجة أنا بحب بس أشكر الاختصار لنوعية الأسئلة، يعني فعلا الأسئلة بتقص كل حاجة محتاجة المنظر دلوقتي. أي حاجة بتشتغل في أي بيت عامل لازم يبقى بتقص الحاجات اللي احنا محتاجينها فيه. زي مثلا أول حاجة بداية الزوجية كانت دايما بتخف مدى تعاملي أو مدى تصرفي في مواقف معينة. فدي أنا شايفاها حاجة كويسة جدا، وكمان بيدي مدى الزوجية بحس إن الأسئلة بتتكرر ضروري حلو جدا فكره ان هو مفيش اي نقطه ولا بيقالوا فيها قدام. كمان الاختيار الاسئله بيبقى عشوائي جدا، مثلا ممكن يبقى داخل في الجهاز ده احنا منهم بس 30 اللي جاي ياخد 30 تاني اللي جاي ياخد 30 تاني. التنوع في الاسئله ده بيفيد جدا في الشغل الجاي. كمان لاحظت حاجه مهمه جدا بيقيس المهارات اللغويه في العربي والانجلش. احنا بنحتاج قوي نكتب خطابات، وكنت بشوف صراحه يعني الاخطاء اللغويه بتبقى فادحه.
طريقه اختبار جيده فعلا. احنا قبل كده كنا بنمتحن امتحانات، يعني انا في محافظه اسوان، فكل لما يكون في سفر او كده ما كنتش باجي، لان طبعا بيكون ده موضوع الشفافيه بيأثر معاك، موضوع بيختار بيتم ازاي او الامتحان بيتم ازاي. لكن بالطريقه الجديده دي الواحد لا فعلا بيجي من اسوان وعارف ان هو لو كواليفايد هيتم اختياره. والله هو الامتحان شويه اسئله او أشعر المتقدم بشأن هذه الوظيفة ومدى مستواه العلمي ومدى تفكيره. والحقيقة أشكر رئيس اتحاد التنظيم والإدارة وفريق التنظيم والإدارة جميعا لتنظيم في سير إجراء هذا الاتحاد.
Thank you very much. So what the video is showing the Center of Excellence that has been established in Egypt. It's a one-stop shop recruitment center, and fortunately I was there with my elder, my uncle, Kenema, together with the director of PSRU. This is they have digitalized the entire recruitment system, and artificial intelligence is at the center of everything. So the human contact has been minimized to at least 10%. So everybody in Egypt now knows that you will be recruited by what you know and not about how much who knows you. So this is what we are looking at as a case study and see how we can replicate it in Sierra Leone, customize it to what can be done in Sierra Leone. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. For the start, we can come to the Minister. For the start, you can come to the Foreign Service Academy. We have technological facilities that will enable you to do what you just saw. I'm doing better. I have 2 classrooms of 66 computers of the highest grade, so you can start by coming to the academy. Not gratis, of course. Not gratis, of course. Anyway, thank you very much, Mr. Minister. I will be grateful if you will kindly convey our appreciation to the professor there for his wonderful presentation. Thank you. And we look forward to seeing you in Freetown sometime.
We look forward to seeing you in Freetown soon.
Regards. Thank you very much. Now we move on. I have the name of a beautiful lady who will come to tell us who our guest of honor is for the day. And I'm sure most of us do not know him. We've seen him. All of us will see them on television. So it is my pleasure to invite Madam Slbc Tv, Director of Planning Policy and Research, to please come and introduce. Yes, give her a big hand.
Mr. Chairman, Honorable Ministers, Deputy Ministers, Development Partners, and all protocol observed. My task this morning is to introduce the keynote of the validation of the Public Service Strategic Master Plan for the revamp of the public service architecture with the theme, we reform to revamp. This individual is a seasoned administrator from the Republic of Sierra Leone. Before his appointment by His Excellency President Retired Brigadier Julius Madavio, his experience in governance spans 3 decades. He comes with a lot of experience that runs deep into economic development, public policies, governance, and several other areas. He has served in different strategic levels within the government of Sierra Leone, United Nations, private consultancy, and as an academic in the field of economic development, public policy, governance, to name but a few. He is also a conflict management and development associate. However, due to his extensive experience in public service governance, he was appointed as an advisor on governance before his current position. In his current capacity, he represented the government of Sierra Leone at the tripartite meetings, effectively conveying the government's position and contributing to the peace we now enjoy. Additionally, he is a recognized training expert. There is much more to say about this gentleman, but without further ado, please join me with a thunderous applause to welcome the Secretary for the President in the person of Dr. Emmanuel Kenema.
The chair of the occasion also happens to be the executive director of Sierra Leone's Premier Foreign Service Academy, Ambassador Sule Darame, Honorable Minister of Planning and Economic Development, members of Parliament, soon to be here, our distinguished development partners, who I believe in the spirit of partnership and conviviality will come when they are finished with the business of the day. Colleagues in the public service ecosystem, particularly the leadership present here, and other colleagues both on the Navy and those aspiring to be on the Navy. My colleagues in the CSO sector, having once been a country director of international NGOs, so still colleagues. The people who make the people know and understand what happens around our brothers and sisters in the neighborhood. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, there was any existing protocol established. Permit me to stand on that protocol. Mr. Chairman, I normally would like occasions like this to speak freely from my heart, but being a public policy practitioner and the risk of me holding me for too long, I have decided to strip myself down. So permit me, Mr. Chairman, to go by myself with their spirits so that I have a discipline of time and consistency. Mr. Chairman, I bring you greetings from the office of the President, and I must indicate at the outset that I am humbled and elated to be part of yet another epoch-making event. The last one I was privileged and continued to attend was at the Foreign Service Academy, where the leadership of the public service, spearheaded by the Public Service Commission, the constitutionally recognized authority for human resource management in the Republic, hosted us to the validation of the public service draft policy. Mr. Chairman, I'm also pleased upon reflection and in receipt of the invite from Mopapa to be the keynote speaker to reflect on what His Excellency the President, Brigadier Retired Julius Malaki said in 2018. He said on quote, when elected as President of the Republic, I will ensure that there is an efficient management of the states. It gives me relief that His Excellency's vision there is at work. And I want to congratulate each and every one of you here who did that vision of 2018 still be a vision that's alive. The chairperson, someone may want to ask the question, a very pertinent question, why public sector reform? Why revamp the public service? These may look like simple questions, but they are valid questions. As a theory practitioner, I want to walk you through why I think this is important. First and foremost, a reform of this nature provides an opportunity for us to stop thinking. We look back, we look how far we've come, we look at what progress we've made, we look at what challenges we've encountered, and then we try to document, we analyze, and we try to also pre-position ourselves to see if we can address. Secondly, when you reform the public service and any other reform in the public sector, you introduce agility. You also ensure that there is responsiveness to address the challenges that may be impeding progress of national development. So that also makes it very important for us to undertake reform. Also, when you reform, You right fit the public service institutions and agencies. The Minister of Planning was speaking about alignment. To right fit simply means that when state or public institutions are established, it is not in every instance that the legislations that create them are getting right at first instance. Because for those of you who are in the domain of governance, you know when we develop bills and proposals, they are built on assumptions. The assumptions will hold true, sometimes they may not hold true. So when you do a reform, you are trying to test whether in fact the assumptions of yesterday are still valid today. If they are not, then you go for the right fit exercise. But even more importantly, ladies and gentlemen, we reform because we want to sanitize the policy, the legal and the regulatory environment. We remove conflicts, we address gaps and lacunas, and also we address inconsistencies. In the final analysis, we reform because we want to strengthen the basis of governance effectiveness, leading to improved service delivery and overall constructive national and sustainable development. Mr. Chairperson, some recent priorities and public sector resource initiatives in Sierra Leone undertaken by the government need to be brought to the fore. Prior to his ascendancy of His Excellency the President, previous administrations have also undertaken some of this. I want to list a few. At the end of the war, there was the restoration of civil authority agenda that brought back the states to a civil status. We had the National Recovery Strategy, we have the National Recovery Plan, and this was done in partnership with entities like the United Nations Development Program, BFID, and a host of other entities. We also have had an opportunity in this country to have the first generation of public sector reform strategy. That strategy enabled us to look at the civil service again, the civil service post-independence, the civil service that was bedeviled by rapid constitutional changes leading to one-party state and taking us out of one-party statism and also moving us to multi-party statism. We also tried to reintroduce local governance reform, which was uprooted in 1972, and which we thought could be a vehicle to not only enhance participation and inclusivity, but also create space for rapid socio-economic development. We decided to dismantle the Central Techno Board for efficiency and we introduced the National Public Procurement Reform, giving us the National Public Procurement Authority. We have been charged that we are a corrupt nation, a failed nation. Government also in this country embarked on a strategic reform of our governance landscape, our public sector landscape, to make sure that we become more transparent and efficient. We introduced the Anti-Corruption Commission. Also, after the war, we realized that our security sector was bedeviled with a lot of crises. There was lots of focus on mandate and responsibility. The constitutionality of the security sector was compromised, so again we undertook a security sector reform. And more recently, under His Excellency's leadership, we are again embarking on the second generation of the justice sector reform. Ladies and gentlemen, reform has been alive in this country and reform is on the way. Chairperson, theories of public administration, despite their intellectual disagreements. Intellectual disagreements is the beauty of academia. They have agreed on a few things that public sector reform should undertake. First and foremost, if we want to undertake any serious reform, we must have a very deep understanding of the political economy drivers. What brings change? What obstructs change? What will be the impediment to change? What will be the incentive to change? These are things we all understand if we do political economy analysis. We must also understand the process side. The minister will have to develop papers. They will have to go to cabinet. They will have to go to the parliament. And the parliament will have to ratify. There have to be regulations. There have to be rules. The process side of reform needs to be understood. We also have to do what we call problem identification and classification. What are the problems? Capacity issues, probabilities issues, resource constraints. Do we have outdated institutions, outmoded laws, non-existing policies? We also have to ensure that we carry the people on whose behalf we are doing the reform. So therefore, consultation, Mr. Minister, must be an ongoing process. And all of this should terminate into continuous consensus building in what I want to call an iterative process of cycle of planning, discussing, thinking, agreeing, and holding. Chairperson, there are often concerns that there is no rationale despite justifications given for public sector reform. I want to walk you through that there are indeed concerns, but these concerns could be addressed. Proponents of public sector reform defend it as the mechanism that gives government the ability to to look at its capacity, to look at the efficiency margin, to introduce effectiveness, to reintroduce or strengthen integrity, to make sure that cause of accountability and responsiveness are brought to the system. If you don't undertake reform, these are things that you will aspire to, but you will hardly be able to realize them. Here, ladies and gentlemen, there is need to highlight the critical point that public sector reform is unlikely to produce desired results in the absence of consensus building. I want to repeat that. It will never give us the results we want in the absence of consensus building. If all of us here decide, some of us here decide not to be on board, there will be no reform. All of us, I mean all of us, have to be on board for reform to take place. Therefore, we have to undertake political bargaining, which makes, Mr. Minister, the position is important here. Other stakeholders that are not present is more important. We have to also make sure that we undertake contestations in a very civil manner. I agree, I disagree. Why do you agree? Why do you disagree? We also have to make sure that in a very objective and rational manner, we look at current and existing structures, procedures, and systems. Again, we should not forget that we have to look at entitlements and people's expectations. If they not take care of the entitlements and expectations, genuine partnership in reform will be missing. Chairperson, as we assemble to validate the transformative strategy and make history again, I want to kindly crave the indulgence of this audience for me to just give it a little bit of more guiding posts. Mr. Minister and members of the Parliament, there is need for you to look at a right fit between context and institutional reform. We just listened to a video from the Arab Republic of Egypt. I want us to see that as a framework for what we can share on the solution. Let's be context conscious. Let's have a right fit of context to give context to reform. Otherwise, the one size fits all may have its own implications going forward. Second, I want us, before we decide on the form of public sector reform we want to look at, let's be in agreement on what are the functions we desire for Sierra Leone's public service. Before we move into that, let's look at how we introduce changes in an incremental manner. How we are going to prepare our constituents, those who are anticipated to be winners of the reform, and those who are apprehensive that they will be losers of the reform. Let us also pay attention on who are going to be the implementers of this reform, and what are the competencies and skill sets to bring to the reform. In doing all this, we'll be enacting existing functional elements whereby new proposals will be meshed with older ones, with the best interest of getting a hybrid that can better serve Sierra Leone State and takes care of the deficiencies that are currently existing. We have to also take time to frame the reform. We have to ensure that once we are doing this, we situate it against our value systems and our norms. And one of the value system and norms I'm pushing for is that we must carry our women along. So therefore, as a value system, gender has to be placed. As a value system, our unfortunate brothers and sisters by nature, by accident, who probably are disabled, must be carried along. As a value system, we should also strive not only to preach transparency, but must be seen living transparency. Another important element also I want to mention that guide the process. Reform has to be measured. The contributions to reform normally are undermined because we do reform without measurement. But the question is, what should we be measuring? How can we measure something that is politically demanded, that is complex? How can we measure something that is so dynamic? How can we measure something for which the expectations are hardly ever the same all the time? Mr. Minister, it's important also to look at balancing national leadership and national ownership of the reform process and expertise. In as much as we may lack local expertise and local capacity, but this is a reform for Sierra Leone and must be seen to be led by Sierra Leoneans and to be owned by Sierra Leoneans. Insufficient and superficial ownership is a disaster. It's can undermine reform. There is imperative for technical reforms to be adopted without leaving behind also our behavioral changes. If we want to reform, but we still have the same attitude coming to work at 9 p.m., at 9 a.m. but going home at 4 p.m. If you still have a behavioral tendency of what will be done today has to be done tomorrow, if you still have the tendency that I'm still sitting on the file, if our signatures are going to cost money when we're already being paid for it, then we won't have reform. Because reform also has to go to the behavioral changes. I would have to accept those sentences. So why the international record around public ownership is really just what it means in practice and how to create it remains contested. How I wish our colleagues from the development partnership community here. Beyond the question of what actors are relevant, donors in particular have a tendency to want to drive the reform agenda. With respect to their contribution and ownership, the individuals who sit in donor capacities are but on a tour of duty. And so, whilst we value the contributions they make, we should also make sure that they understand that the context remains ours, and we have to lead the reform. Next, Mr. Minister, we have to nuance political economy analysis. There is a necessity for us to know the political economy. Whether you like it or not, in Sierra Leone, for example, there is always some sense of regional dichotomies. Reform should break those dichotomies. There is a tendency for us also to believe that the public sector is the greatest employer. Yes, it is the greatest employer. We also have to understand the fact that because the public sector is the greatest employer, there has to be pressure on the public service to employ more people, which has concomitant effects on wage bill and invariably on the excess resources that are there for service delivery. So, Mr. Minister, as we move on, let us avoid the danger of allowing analysis to paralyze the process of reform. If we overanalyze, we paralyze reform. So let analysis go on, but not at the expense of paralyzing reform. Because experts that come, particularly from international agencies, they tend to tell us this was the way it happened in America, this was the way it happened in Indiana, but not necessarily the way it should happen. Minister, ladies and gentlemen, reform has to have reform managers and you have to have reform champions. As we move along with this reform, I will crave your indulgence and crave the indulgence of the leadership of the public service that we start to identify reform managers and reform champions. Genuine believers. And those reform managers must ensure that they identify those of us who stick to our positions. Those of us who defend existing status quo. Those of us who believe this is the way we have been doing it. Those of us who think it will not change. And those of us who believe it is not going to succeed. The reform managers should be there to help us. In doing all of this, Mr. Minister, at the risk of being an alarmist, there are likely to be challenges. Chairperson, there are inherent challenges to genuine public sector reform. The difficulty regarding public sector reform and related process approaches to reform is the constraint they face from the politicians and the bureaucrats. The biggest obstacle to reform are the politicians and us, the bureaucrats. The politicians are in a hurry. Us, the bureaucrats, want to temper them down, and then we have a collision. The bureaucrats, we think we have time. The politicians think they have time limits. And therefore, in the process, we don't have time to negotiate and we clash. The chairperson, ladies and gentlemen, kindly permit me to reiterate that public sector must be problem-driven focus. We should look at solving problems. And therefore, at this point, before I conclude, Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, I also want to suggest some tidbits that will feed into the proverbial way forward. One, given the weak national, institutional, and human capacities in Sierra Leone, it is advisable to start reform with simple activities, strengthening accountability and performance before recommending to government to take gigantic steps. Next, reformers must distinguish between transitional capacity difficulties. I know sometimes you are frustrated and things are not moving. Those transitional capacity challenges, those transitional roadblocks will exist. They should serve to test your endurance and resilience. They should not deter you from continuing. Resilience and determination will make you overcome that. Next, long-term reforms must be deeper. They must not be superficial. Because if you don't think deeper, the response will only be for a limited period. So as you try to probably get your report card with a 100% delivery of a performance contract, think beyond your ministerial leadership, think beyond the administration of President Bill, think longer, think deeper. And there is also the issue about, and the professor mentioned it, no reform is going to be an incident or an accident. So think about it as a continuous process of thinking, of conceptualizing, of designing, of implementing, of monitoring, of assessing, and repeating. It has been mentioned, and I don't want to overstate it, but I must restate it, that there is no way in the 21st century to focus on the public management will not talk about data and digitalization. Why? Decision making and management was going to be simplified. Given the work volume, given the multiplicity of tasks, given the need for speed and efficiency, given the need for accelerated delivery and service delivery, it is what's useful that we embrace digitization and data management as part of the process. Ladies and gentlemen, this can be scary, but we will not succeed to reform the public services if we do not streamline the bureaucracy. As a bedrock of the public service, particularly the civil service, public sector reform needs to ensure that the bureaucracy is streamlined. You have to have proper job definitions. You have to have proper job classifications. You have to right-size, obviously, the civil service. You have to make sure that competency mix are right, and you have to make sure that everybody is catered for. These challenges will not be deterred. Professional development and employee training. Right skilling and upskilling is what gives us the engine to drive the public service. Minister, successful public sector reform must put at the center right skilling and upskilling of the staff. And this has to be done both ways, both supply driven and demand driven, so that the pool of capable, efficient, effective, and willing workforce will be available to drive the reform. There is also the issue of the power dynamics. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Chair, there is going to be tension between ministries, departments, and agencies. There is going to be tension between competing interest groups. There is going to be tension in the political debate for change. And of course, more importantly, this reform is going to be under attack when it comes for elections, because other political parties will have manifesto commitments that will differ from this. You have to prepare for all of this. You have to prepare for all of this, so that the reform stands the test of time. And the final warning I will give is that, please, ladies and gentlemen, the reform must remain realistic. The capacity of the structures to support widespread reform must be done in terms of assessment. It is good to think big, but it's more desirable to think right. It is good to bite, but it's more desirable to chew. It is good to chew, but it's more desirable to swallow. So therefore, bite, chew, and swallow at the right proportion. So conclude, Chair. Developing countries may have limited capacity to implement political reform, but that does not mean that they should be deterred from it. Institutions need to be strengthened for reform readiness. Reform should be sequenced to confront capacity. And political capacity building of even the political class should be done for reform. If this is done, reform should lead to change, and change should lead to development. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. So, I think you did not go over and you only doubled your time. Thank you very much. And to support that. Thank you so very much. Before we go to the next session, let me take the opportunity to thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and for the privilege, opportunity to meet us to learn a lot about public service from. We do hope that the Ministry of Public Administration and Public Affairs will take to good parts your business of advice. Let me just recap for the benefit of those of us who just come in, and for those of you who will continue the sessions. Right at the beginning, two ministers from Ministry of, they call it, what's your acronym? MOPAPA. It's a beautiful one, MOPAPA. The two ministers of MOPAPA just emphasize the relevance and need for reform. In all their brief statements, that is what they will say. and I hope you got that from what they said. The Minister of Planning and Economic Development, amongst others, not surprisingly, reminded us of gender, and which we do appreciate, and I apologize for the absence of more than 2 women on the high table. The lack of space could not allow us to provide more sitting accommodation, but we take that into consideration. Next time, I assure you we'll have at least 30% of women on high table in occasions like this. But she also mentioned the participation and training of youth in our reform processes, and I hope you take that into consideration. Then, of course, our international guest from Egypt gave us the opportunity for comparative studies and analysis and to look at what obtains outside of Somalia. He gave us a taste of international best practices, and finally, with a huge dose of encouraging words, because he knows, he's tested it, how reform is difficult, how it is challenging, how almost seemingly impossible to appear. But he therefore encourages us to continue to. Then, of course, for our guest speaker, I do hope, Mr. Minister, you do have rapporteurs for this. Do we have rapporteurs for this? Yeah, I do hope you get a copy of what you got from the guest speaker. But what I gathered, I could give about 6 important points he mentioned. The first one was the importance of reform and why we should reform at all. He gave very concrete examples of why we need reform in this country. I hope you consider that. He provides specific pieces of advice that I do hope Mopapa will look into. He mentioned the disabled. I think he was the only one who mentioned the disabled here, and I think that should be taken. That's inclusiveness in our program. I'm sure you took that into consideration. He emphasized the thing I like best was the Sierra Leonean-ness of reform. We left for copy. We copy them all from what I will Calcutta. Let it be Sierra Leone. Let all of you are capable people in this room, suitably qualified and capable of leading reforms in your respective areas. From where I sit, I have seen all colleagues who have the capacity and capability and ability and interest to reform what we want in the public service in Sierra Leone. Let us not just go to copy and paste. Then for them, I will learn internet and IT. You, in reality, you have it. You have the people here who can do it. Encourage yourselves and come forward and do it. And I'm happy, sir, you reminded us of our Sierra Leoneans in doing that. And then he says something which I normally call self-knowledge, knowing what you should know. You don't go to a place to ability for an collect or be in the public space. You ought to know wherever you are. If you're a fisherman, you can know stand high tide, you can, low tide, you can. If you're in the public sector, for God's sake, you should know what it is and what the public sector does for the country, the relevance, the significance, the importance, the magnitude of what we are doing. And I think Mr. SP mentioned that for us. And then the interesting and the perennial conflict between the politicians and the bureaucrats. Fortunately, there are some of us who've been in that position, and there are a few people in this country who've had the opportunity of being a politician now and a bureaucrat before, or vice versa. Sheku there is one of them. He was a bureaucrat, now he's a politician. I would love to see where he will manage that. That's conflict. But I think your kind will be a very good example in this country to teach us how you could blend being a politician and a bureaucrat and make them work efficiently. And then, of course, the SP mentioned the interdepartmental conflict. I always lament at the lack of collaboration and cooperation between specific departments in this country. In our days, We have what we call interdepartmental warrant. That's what we call it. There was a document we signed. If I wanted services from the Ministry of Education and I'm in the Ministry of Works, I could just sign some documents and my PS signs it, and it goes to the ministries. You go to any ministry and ask for the telephone number of the permanent secretary in another ministry, they don't have it anywhere in that way. Very few permanent secretaries know the names of the permanent secretaries in other rooms. Very few. In our days, we had the Public Service Commission. I hope you are here. We used to have a list of all public servants in all rooms of administrative officers. So you easily know your colleagues by name and in most cases by face as well. But today we don't. I hardly see that. Very few people. So these are the things, that conflict, that interdepartmental conflict, and competition. Competition is healthy, yes, but the conflict is what we should try to. And finally, he says it has to be realistic. But I added to it that it has to be relative to Sierra Leone. It doesn't mean that if people do the things on the left-hand side, we should also do it that way. If it's not realistic for Sierra Leone, then not it. And what we do, protocol, we tell people the world comprises several people with different cultures and way of life. And we need to respect all cultures and adapt yourself and fit into some other people's way of life. So with those few words, I want to say thank you very much, Mr. Guest Speaker, and we look forward to the final report from Mupapa, and I hope the rapporteurs will take that into consideration and make proper use of that. We're going to have the 40th section, is it? 40th section, and then we're going to go into the next section, of course, will be chaired by respective people. But then I want to take the opportunity to thank all of you for your patience and for coming. Me, it's the very first time I was at the public sector meeting, I saw two permanent secretaries. I was so disappointed. But the presence of my colleagues from the public service and public sector is encouraging. And this is what SP was saying, it is for us, it is by us, it is with us. Nobody else is going to do it for us. If anybody does it, it suits that individual's interest, not our interest. Well, that's how we have for good talk of it. So if you are in the Ministry of Planning and you have a very good idea of how to go to talk of it, if I tell you about say the road, not the road, you will just say, well, let this man cry for me. But if somebody come by me and line the draw, now straight line is the draw, it's the shortest distance between 2 points in straight line. You know, those things are San kids living, that will kids living. So we have to come up and do things for ourselves. With those few words, I think the Minister and PS will organize the photo section and then we'll get that. Thank you very much.
So just after the photo session, we'll have a tea break. Then we come for the presentation of the draft document. Then we have the plenaries. Then we go into the session proper. So thank you very much, and wish all of us a fruitful celebration and a good breakfast.
So let's have the photo session. So we invite the leadership of the civil service and permanent secretaries just to queue here so that we have Then after that we have the donor partners, permanent secretaries, leadership of the civil service. Then after that we have the ministers and the donor partners. The next photo.
senior civil servant ladies. Please come. It's embarrassingly poor. Civil servant, please come.
And professional heads, please. Professional heads. Professional heads, permanent secretaries, leadership of activity. Retired permanent secretaries. Retired permanent secretaries, please come. Retired or not Thank you. So the next photo, we have the deputy ministers to join. Deputy ministers.
The salary them get disparity, even when people get the same position, one they receive different salary because he engages himself in a different sector. Somebody go to work in a government, other person go to work in a private sector, they get the same degree or same qualification. Administration and political affairs, they champion this because they're under them, because the public service they under the Ministry of Public Administration. So then we don't sit down and see how they go able to do this. In fact, I meant to get the wages compensation. We, of course, one former Minister of Labour, be the leader now, you know, so that at least this talk about salary disparity, positions, qualification, and all things, they're going to see how they go deal better. But when you listen to the main speaker, we now the secretary to the president, we now Dr. Emmanuel Gaima, it try for tell them, because now an administrator, it don't take within a public service. It try for tell them how they for go about so that the team go able balance where everybody go able to enjoy out of them. So this meeting now, they can validate a lot of things them where they're able to come together. One, structural alignment and rationalization of mandates in the public service. Now one thing that we're going to look at this afternoon, they're going to look at pillar 2, when a human resource management, workforce planning, and they're going to look at pillar 3, where they talk about public sector coordination and management. Pillar 4, they're going to look at monitoring, evaluation, and performance management for effective public service delivery. And pillar 5, they're going to look at e-governance. Pillar 6, they're going to look at pay and incentive. Pillar 7, gender and social inclusion. Pillar 8, owner communication and citizen engagement. Well, of course, these citizen engagements, the type will tell you that anything they do, they must go to the public. Because when they want to do this thing, they go around and talk to the public. And this pillar 7, when they talk about gender, you know, say now, then they talk about gender, woman. For anything, when you think about man, you must bring in woman come, because now woman safely in line, you know, in terms of qualification and other things. And then you talk about this pay and incentive, that if you work, at least you must get the kind pay where you forget by the qualification and experience, and then the incentive for some other extra thing them we do. You see, so, and what I say, management and evaluation, when you do work, they never evaluate you, kind of work what you do, performance, how you do them, all that they never look at now this session we go for come. Well, they can't go over back to New Englandville for continuing the day's broadcast. as we go tell you thank you for listening and continue for watching SLBC. We always bring an interesting thing and interesting program. Well, I have to tell my colleague them, Lai Bangura, we of course on camera. I got Tete Kwashi and my technical man na Abubakar Dumbuya. We of course are the technical man. Plenty thank you to my colleague them, Nani Laville, Jibila Koma, Senesi Makavoy, and all the other colleagues them with their own control. Until we meet again, Dan Masui, they wish you a pleasant good morning, and bye-bye with the hand over back to New England Vale. Thank you very much, and bye-bye.
Tired of watching or listening to uninteresting television channels? Then your worries have been addressed, as the SLBC Podium is the answer to your concern.
The SLBC television show, The Podium, is one of the programs you can't afford to miss as a guest or a viewer.
Oh yes, Podium is a show where the mighty and the low will like to sit, because it is a trusted medium to channel your views, concerns and aspirations for Sierra Leone and other happenings around the globe.
Podium is where you get breaking news, because everyone wants to talk to us. If you hear it on Podium, ask no further.
Don't forget to join us every midday from Monday to Friday as we ask the hard questions that you otherwise would have asked to the newsmakers, the movers and shakers of events.
Don't miss the opportunity to be part of Sierra Leone's topmost midday show, The Podium, where the agenda is set for others to follow. Thanks for watching. God bless you. Goodbye.
Famulem, the best margarine butter and the best mayonnaise, don't reach Natal now. When a Jadida butter and Jadida mayonnaise. Jadida butter and Jadida mayonnaise, easy for rub na bread, and so is sweet na mouth. It good for the family and it nice for make cake. You when you look for butter for do anything with concern butter, Jadida butter not the best. Jadida butter they not all then shop and supermarket for sale. But if you want plenty, go na a mobile trading company na number 3 Sani Abacha Street or you telephone them 076 622 194 or 030 279 449 or 6 Lumley Street or 076 663 495. Jadida butter and Jadida mayonnaise na the best product at home. Jadida.
We are the national broadcaster, and I am Sulaiman Baba Toure, a reporter and presenter at the SLBC. Your voice, my voice.
From the commercial department, I am Regina Bangura. You are watching SLBC. Your voice, my voice.
I am Jonathan Turner, a reporter for Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation, SLBC. As a reporter, I do stories on education, health, politics, and more. Stay glued with SLBC to watch my stories. Your voice, my voice.
Lucian Ganda, producer Weyus, and producer and presenter Christian Renditions on TV. This is the SLBC.
I am William Wise, presenter Weyus and also reporter at the SLBC, and this is the SLBC.
I am Salma Tabak, television executive producer. I produce programs on both radio and television. I'm a news anchor, a presenter, an announcer on radio. I enjoy what I do because I serve a public service broadcaster. It's a pleasure to work with the SLBC.
I am Tilly Koma, Head of News and Current Affairs Unit, Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation. Our news hour now covers several segments. We have entertainment, business, weather, sports, ferry schedule, and human interest stories, not forgetting politics. We are doing all that to keep you people posted on what's happening all over the country. Thanks for being with us at SLBC. Keep blue. We are the best.
Sierra Leone is a country on a new path of development, a new direction. As we awaken to a new sense of patriotism and pride as Sierra Leoneans, the SLBC brings together enlightened senior citizens with much experience to help steer Sierra Leoneans on the path of a defined course of pride and consciousness, a constructive nationalism. So, join the SLBC for the program Constructive Nationalism. Come and let's build Sierra Leone every Saturday at 3 p.m. on the SLBC. Constructive Nationalism on the SLBC.
We are the national broadcaster, and I am Sulaiman Baba Toure, a reporter and presenter at the SLBC. Your voice, my voice.
From the commercial department, I am Regina Bangra. You are watching SLBC. Your voice, my voice.
I am Jonathan Turner, a reporter for Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation, SLBC. As a reporter, I do stories on education, health, politics, and more. Stay glued with SLBC to watch my stories. Your voice, my voice.
Lucian Ganda, producer Weyus, and producer and presenter Christian Renditions on TV. This is the SLBC.
I am William Wise, presenter Weyus and also reporter at the SLBC, and this is the SLBC.
am Salma Tabak, television executive producer. I produce programs on both radio and television. I'm a news anchor, a presenter, an announcer on radio. I enjoy what I do because I serve a public service broadcaster. It's a pleasure to work with the SLBC. I am Tilikoma, head of News and Current Affairs Unit, Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation. Our news hour now covers several segments. We have entertainment, business, weather, sports, ferry schedule, and human interest stories, not forgetting politics. We are doing all that to keep you people posted on what's happening all over the country. Thanks for being with us.
It's midday in Freetown, and welcome to this edition of the Podium, which is coming to you live from the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation with me, Asmiba. Our quote of the day comes from William Osler, a Canadian physician, and it says, "The good physician treats the disease, the great physician treats the patient who has the disease." Coming up into this edition of the program, as they threaten to remove their gloves, members of the Medical and Dental Association of Sierra Leone meet with the Vice President, Dr. Mohamed Jule Jallo. What is the outcome? We shall find out. Ministry of Public Administration and Political Affairs gets a master plan strategy for the revamping of the public service architecture in Sierra Leone. Officers from the Hortin Command and Staff College 2024 Senior Command and Staff course on a media tour to the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation. You can be part of the conversation by sending your message to the number 0300733719 or join us on our Facebook page SLBC TV. The program is The Podium. Let's start with our first story. The Ministry of Public Administration and Political Affairs will be organizing a 3-day seminar for the validation of the master plan strategy to revamp the public service architecture in Sierra Leone. The program will take place at the New Brookfield Hotel from the 24th to the 25th October 2024. The program is expected to attract all the key stakeholders of the public service architecture with a theme, reform to revamp. Well, revamping the public sector was one of the promises made by President Julius Maada when he was campaigning, as he promised to revamp it and make it more efficient and service delivery to the people of this country. Well, the Deputy Minister of the Ministry of Public Administration and Political Affairs is Philip Tetema. He is here with us. Welcome to the program, sir.
Good afternoon.
Okay.
Good afternoon, listeners.
Yeah, before the validation, take us through the processes that the ministry and stakeholders have gone so far. How far you've come up to this stage.
Yeah, thank you very much. before now, the ministry was called Ministry of Public and Political Affairs, and with the goodwill of His Excellency in the manifesto, one of the game changers, the 5 says revamping the public sector architecture for meritocracy, among other things. So the ministry was transformed to Ministry of Public Administration and Political Affairs. And since then, over meeting with all public sector actors, and during the design of the medium-term plan, it was also looked at and as an enabler. So the ministry is now called Ministry of Public Administration and Political Affairs, and in the President Manifesto, revamping the public sector architecture. In that manifesto, the medium-term development plan, which is 2024 to 2030, there are key areas. For example, in the plan, in Pillar 5.5, transforming the public service architecture is the ministry's mandate. In page 111, our key role in that medium-term national development plan is the coordinating the affairs of public sector institutions in revamping the public service architecture. So that's our key role in coordinating, like human resource, public sector reform unit, the head of civil service, cabinet secretariat, and public service commission. So since then, we'll be looking at those institutions and we'll be working very collaboratively, and we are working with our key partner is UNDP, and they're one of our financiers in addition to the great job government is doing. So we hired a consultant to develop our master and strategic plan. So they've been, and it was given a time frame. So this master and strategic plan has been written. So we are bringing together all public sector actors, including our permanent secretaries, deputy secretaries, professional heads, to validate that document. Okay. Our partners.
What are the key issues in this master plan?
Several key issues. Like I was telling you, in this master plan, for example, what is happening currently, there is no alignment among ministries, there is overlapping of functions. I come to lack of incentive among civil servants, which is culminating to corruption, incompetencies. There are no policies before in terms of policy on public service. There's no act. In terms of salaries, there have been a lot of variances. You go to Ministry of Development, Ministry of Finance, the people in SLBC with the same qualification.
Or different payment disparities.
High, So one of the key...
And that is very key.
And one of the key, yes. So in the medium national development plan, they were able to come out with 6 pillars. And one is the structural alignment and rationalization of mandates. Because most of the institutions have conflicting mandates. So in revamping, we have to look at that, and it was picked up by the Ministry of Development. The second one is human resource management, what we call normally manpower planning. That's the second pillar. The third one is public sector coordination management. That's the role of the ministry. The fourth one is monitoring, evaluation, and performance management for effective public service delivery. Then the fifth one is e-governance. We want to see probably by 2026, wherein at the public service level, would have gone far in the e-governance.
Do we have the infrastructure?
No, that's why I gave you is that we are working towards it. Now that with the help of Ministry of Communication, Innovation and so forth, that's why well, all hands are on deck, you know. So the other one is pay and incentive. You know, the BCC has been created, wages and compensation. Now we've got the act that's gone through Parliament, you know, and the wages and compensation commission. The commission has been created. They are working assiduously, and right now they are looking at the various salary structures. You know, very soon, as against 2026, we'll be able to align some of these salaries. So that's why a commission has been created that is going to help the revamping process.
On this issue of aligning salaries, take for instance, you have the pure civil servants, and you have those who are public servants, mostly employed by key sometimes commissions and other agencies, especially when a new government comes to power. It appoints people in those institutions, new commissions, and sometimes they are given lofty salaries as against what civil servants receive. So is it going to cut across?
That's why we're saying revamping. When we are revamping, we will call it pay and incentive. We're going to look at that. That's why the Medium National Development Plan picked it up. There are 6 pillars, and one of the pillars is pay and incentive. You know, incentive goes with efficiency and good output. You know, if you look at the civil service code, it's covering civil servants. It's not covering the public service. You understand? That's why Public Service Commission 2, they'll be working assiduously in developing their public service policy, which has been out and it has been validated. It's still in progress. You know, and we're quite aware. You know, you look at the commissions and you look at the agencies, you know, from 1986 when we had the SAP, Structural Adjustment Program, and that brought the emergence of several commissions, you know, with the objective that there are a lot of inefficiencies in the main ministry.
To complement,
yes, specialized people out of the ministry, you know, to have commissions so that the efficiency will be optimized. You know, that was the essence. But then there was no policy and act, you know, to cover that. So people for the years past, they've been taking advantage, you know, designing their
which rules guide the public
which concomitantly negatively impacted on the performance of their colleagues they left in the mainstream. You know, so because of lack of incentive, lack of good working environment, you know, because pay and incentive is very, 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 very appropriate for an effective leadership or administration.
Okay.
So we are quite aware. So that's why all this is captured in the strategic document. That's why we are calling all experts that are including our partners that are working within the public sector. We'll come tomorrow and Friday. We'll look at the document line by line, because they are the experts, you know, and even former or retired permanent secretaries have been invited, among other public sector specialists. We'll look at this document. So by 2026, Sierra Leone will be proud of a very sound administrative cadre.
When you are developing this policy, this document, did you get, for example, the buy-in or the inputs of some key stakeholders? For example, let's look at the teachers. Many times I have interviewed teachers, and they are the ones who are very keen on seeing the implementation of this uniform salary, and also the medical practitioners, for example, the doctors. They are also keen on seeing that. They always say, when they look at colleagues of theirs in other MDAs, they are better paid than them. These are two key stakeholders.
No, well, you see, when we go into the nitty-gritties, roles and responsibility, remember I tell you it's pillar 6 within the Medium National Plan, that pay and incentive, you understand? The roles are different. You know, now we'll be recruiting purely on meritocracy. You understand? It's not as before, where you have 10, 15 graduates and you're interviewing them, then you leave out the first class student, second class student, you take the third class student.
Is it not still happening?
No, it's not still happening to my knowledge. You understand? Under this government, it's not still happening. The PSCs, is very, very strict on that now. But in the next 1 or 2 years, in fact, everything will be through portal, over e-governance, which is one of the medium-term concerns. Like you're talking about teachers, talking about nurses. These are public sector workers. They are not civil servants, so they are not covered by the civil service code. But nonetheless, the strategic plan is covering all of that. What can we do that will make the performance of teacher more efficient, and their output, so that they can teach well? Because even there's a saying that learning only takes place when the learner appreciates the learning scenario.
So meaning, even the teachers themselves, they will not benefit much from. Because, for example, some teachers are saying, an individual with a master's degree in another department, another agency, is paid, let's say, maybe around 15,000 riyals.
Teacher is role and responsibility.
A teacher in a secondary school, an SSS teacher, will only dream of having such a salary.
Now, what I'm saying is rules and responsibility. If you have a teacher at the classroom with a master's degree, when he's receiving less salary than a master's degree holder in Ministry of Development or Ministry of Finance, their responsibilities, you understand, are different, and their targets are also different. You realize, and their capacity. Everything about effective leadership is about competency and capacities. You can be capable but not competent. The reason why some of these people are receiving higher salaries, as we say, leadership capacities and competencies for effective leadership. You understand? So that's the reason. For example, you will see in some institutions a master's holder is receiving higher salary than a teacher with the same degree. As I said, he may have that master's degree. If you check now, take statistics, probably may not be a computer literate. You understand? And if you give him a job that is supposed to, you give him a job on Monday morning, you are expecting that job to finish by 12 o'clock, you will not get it.
That cannot be found only with teachers. It's
just an hypothetical case.
If you also go to the civil service also.
This is just an hypothetical case.
I know.
That's why e-governance.
They are busy bombing.
That's why e-governance is part of the medium-term national development plan.
Okay.
By 2026, we are making sure that we go paperless, instead of all things being equal.
Okay. Well, continue with us. He is Deputy Minister Philip Tetema Tondona. The program is a podium coming to you live from the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation. Well, the Houghton Academy was established after the country's civil war by the British military to train and reposition the army to meet modern-day military operations. Well, over the years, the academy has trained thousands of military personnel in Sierra Leone and other parts of the South region. Well, today, students of the Houghton Academy and Staff College 2024 Senior Command and Staff Course 02 are on a media tour to SLBC. Well, many of the top brass of the Armed Forces have gone through the Houghton Academy, where they are trained on strategic leadership, management, and other military areas. Well, I have 3 senior military officers who have joined us on the podium. I have Lieutenant Colonel Mustafa Kuruma from the Republic of Sierra Leone Armed Forces, Major Saitoti Francis, who is from Kenya, Lieutenant Commander Jonathan Michael Jenkins from the Sierra Leone Navy. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So let me start with Major Saitoti Francis from Kenya. Is it the first time you are coming to Sierra Leone?
Yes, this is my first time to come to Sierra Leone.
Okay. Yes. How have you enjoyed your stay so far?
Well, let me first of all thank you very much for hosting us. I've been around for 1 month now, and indeed it has been a wonderful experience for me coming from Kenya. Although this is not the first time that we have Kenyans coming to Sierra Leone, but for me as a person, this is the first time, and indeed I had a wonderful moment.
We used to have Kenbats during, after the war. Kenya had a battalion in the UN peacekeeping forces. We call them Kenbat, the Kenyan battalion.
Absolutely. Kenya served here during the civil war, and yes, we took part in restoring peace and security to this great country, the Republic of Sierra Leone.
Okay. So tell us your purpose of coming this time around.
Well, The purpose of me coming from Kenya to Sierra Leone is to undertake this very important and premier course, the Senior Command and Staff course. That is a requirement for officers of this cadre to undertake in preparation for, the responsibilities that come with this rank and even subsequent rank moving forward in the military career. It is a course that imparts in us the requisite knowledge and skills that is required of us as we move forward, in discharging our duties as staff officers, as commanders, as leaders and management in our respective...
So what are these key responsibilities that you have been prepared to take up in the next few years?
Absolutely. The most important one is problem solving. Men and women in uniform are always, confronted with challenges. And it is incumbent upon all of us, especially as current and future leaders, to have the abilities to assess and come up with solutions that we prefer to these different challenges that we encounter, ranging from climatic security challenges to human security, physical, community security, all those. So it is this course that prepares us over and above what we've been able to gain over the years in terms of experience, but also the skills that is required of us to solve these problems and also to be able to think strategically and provide the necessary advice to our leadership from across the full spectrum of government.
Okay. I'm sure you're also trained how to have emotional stability, because as senior officers, your emotion is very important. Sometimes you are not expected to follow your emotion, but to think strategically and in a very thoughtful way before you decide. Sometimes you are in a military, you are the theater of war, and you are the one commanding the troop. Your decision is very key. It can make or unmake your men.
I can't agree with you more. You've actually quoted one of the most important qualities of a leader. And indeed, as military leaders, we must be able to manage our emotions. So emotional intelligence, as you said, is very important for us as military officers.
Okay, let me bring in Major Lieutenant Colonel Kuruma. How important is the Houghton Academy, not only to Sierra Leone, but also to other countries?
Houghton Academy, thank you very much, Mr. Ba, and for hosting us. Yes, I want to start by saying that Houghton Academy is one of the most outstanding academies. I mean, it has now been transformed to a college. Okay. And because it has been transformed to a college, that's why it's now running the Senior Command and Staff course. One of the reasons for which Houghton Academy becomes absolutely important for Sierra Leone is because Sierra Leone as a nation, we are part of the global village. Okay, our officers have been proceeding on this senior staff course in countries like Ghana, Nigeria, United States of America, China, the United Kingdom, Canada, and places like Ethiopia. So for Sierra Leone to be given the opportunity, you understand, to now
gain its own
locally, it's a very good privilege. It's helped us, the officers, a lot, because in those nations that I have mentioned, we used to send officers maybe 2, 3, or some. For nations like United States, it's just 1. For United Kingdom, it used to be just 1. Whereas for now, Sierra Leone officers, both lieutenant colonels and majors, we are 43 on the course. So that helped to accelerate the preparation and development of officers within a very short time. A huge cadre of officers, majors and lieutenant colonels will be prepared in country and with the same level of knowledge, because the lecturers, we call them directing staffs, that are running these courses in either Ghana, Nigeria, UK, Liberia, or as the case may be, they are also those lecturers that are here, or directing staff. Yeah, there is an exchange program within lecturers or directing staffs from those countries. They will come to this country, they will help the development and preparation of our officers, and with the coming of time, when our college might have taken the foundation that is necessary, our directing officers or lecturers as well will be leaving Sierra Leone to Nigeria, Ghana, or as the case may be.
Are all the tutors or the lecturers, are they all military men or former military men or what?
They are military men, but our lecturers are being taken from colleges like IPAM, Frobe College, University of Sierra Leone, You know, the lecturers are coming from other MDs who are coming to deliver lectures on some of those their departmental issues that the military needs to know. You know, so that's the blend of lecturers that we have. So it's a very rich program.
Okay, I'm sure. You are also taught about media-related issues.
Yes.
How to respond to the media, the importance. But in modern, in modern warfare, the media is very key.
Yes.
Because you can't fight a war without having a very strong media as a military.
That's correct.
Yeah.
So as a result of that, some of the ways in which the media is actually helping us to propagate or disseminate our activities to the general public is that makes the media very, very important, because as it used to be, the people are not aware of the things that the military is doing. But with the military that is serving as a branch, coming in collaboration with the military, they will help to disseminate all those things, the activities that the military is undertaking, to send them to the general public, so the general public will be fully informed about the activities of the military and how those activities are being conducted. So those are some of the areas by which that prove the necessity of the media to military operations.
But sometimes the media is an institution where they don't talk. They are very reticent, and the media is an institution that likes to talk. We like to talk, we like to talk, we like to dig, we like to know what is happening. On the other hand, you guys don't like to talk, you don't want to be dogged, you don't want to be investigated, you don't want people to know what you are doing. So how do you normally, what's the fine balance?
Thank you very much, Mr. Bar, for that. But it's not that our activities are being hidden from the general public. We operate on the basis of need to know, yes. Some of those things that we're doing, our documents or our activities are on the basis of a need to know, need to hold. Yeah, there are specific people that fall within the category on the basis of needs to know, and there are certain people that fall within the category on the basis of needs to know. So if you do not fall within one of those categories, you will be restricted from having those informations, having access to those information, because our military activities are classified activities. So that's the reason why the military decide to most times keep certain of the activities a little restricted from the general public, except on the basis of need to know, when to know, and how to know it.
Thank you very much. He is Lieutenant Colonel Mustafa Koroma. Let me come to now another person, Lieutenant Commander Jonathan Michael Jenkins from the Sierra Leone. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Ba.
Okay, the Navy also plays a very crucial role in the military. How useful is the Hutton College to the Navy wing of the ASA?
Actually, the Hutton Command and Staff College is most useful to all of the armed wings within the Republic of Sierra Leone Armed Forces, because it's a blend of, and it's a blend of course that they are running, and all about what is being taught there, circle around one goal. Because being a naval and air force person or be an infantry, we go in for one case study, and that is what is all about leadership, like my colleague initially said, because it's a mix of leadership package, wherein at this cadre of officers you are expected to go through that, because irrespective of the unit you are coming from, though other units might be specialist units, but for us as a Navy, we are equally benefiting like our colleagues, because at the end of it we are being given the same mission or task in terms of operational capability.
But you operate on different terrains.
Yes.
While some operate on the land, you operate on the sea.
On the sea. But you can be still given, the same orders, because you have your own role to support. In so doing, we collaborate. So there is a need for all of us to have the same, level of expectation and the level of training, so that we can articulate in time of dispensing.
So how did you find the course? How fascinating? Was it fascinating?
Of course, yes.
Was it mind-blowing?
Sure enough, the course is tedious, but that is how it should be like, because that is what we do expect. Because as officers, we are always on top of the situation. We need to be 2 steps ahead of our subordinates, because we have to, discharge the orders, and we have to lead them in terms of operation or in battle. So it is of higher, value that we always be, ahead, far ahead, to keep the pace so that we bring them on board to execute the correct duties expected of them.
Okay. I mean, having other officers from other countries, it's added some blend into the whole milieu. How did you find that aspect? I mean, sitting in class with officers from Kenya or from other countries, I mean, sharing ideas, and stuff like that.
This brings about institutional benefits, by creating, these stronger ties, regional ties, because bringing us together, it's like, we are not new to ourselves. The army and the military code of conduct is the same, no matter where you go. We are all working on same wavelength. The tactics they teach out there is the same tactics they teach here. The modus operandi are all the same. So there is nothing different from coming here or we going there.
That sounds very interesting.
Yeah.
So how do militaries try to overpower or outmaneuver other militaries? For example, when two countries go to war, when the modus operandi are the same?
Well, it depends on your fighting power. Yes, because when we start talking about fighting power, we have all three, organs. When we talk about the conceptual components, the physical and the moral components, perhaps your conceptual component, which is the thought process, can be more than the other, depending on or your physical component, whereby you need the ability or manpower, logistically and the like, the resources. In so doing, if you are more stronger than the other army, then you can easily outweigh them.
Wow. Major, you want to have a bite on that question? Well, the modus operandi are the same, but when, for example, two countries go to war, they are both military. They are both militaries, and how is that one overpower the other? One outmaneuvers the other.
I will try to just draw an analogy for our viewers to understand this. If you bring two chess players, there'll definitely be one that will emerge victorious, despite the two of them being great chess players. So wars and battles is just a game of chess. So it all depends on who has the edge over the other, be it, as you have said, the physical, the moral, and even the conceptual. Who has the edge, who has that advantage over the other in terms of the outmaneuvering, as you've said. But it's purely a game of chess.
Okay.
Mr. Ba, if I'm to add to it, please, if I'm to add to it, technology now plays a major part as well. If you can look at what is happening now between Russia and Ukraine, what's currently happening between Russia and Ukraine, the requirement for manpower is being reduced to a greater extent. Here they are using technology is playing a greater role. You see drones moving up to 700 miles, drones moving up to 1,000 miles, unmanned area vehicles. Unmanned area vehicles. You see artillery shells traveling 1,000 miles, missiles traveling 1,700 miles. Technology. Had it not been the emergence of those technology, it would take manpower, let's say a week, to cover 1,500 miles or 1,700 miles.
So is technology making the work of the military easier?
Absolutely. 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 We used to have what we call human intelligence. Humans will go to the battlefield to scan what's happening on the battlefield. But these days, it is drones.
Yeah.
You mount a drone, in the space of 3-4 minutes, the drone has covered 30-40 miles, and the drone will be up there unheard and unseen. You understand? And that drone will be able to recce or survey the land area that the drone has been programmed to cover. That drone will cover that land area, and as it is covering that area, it is sending back that information to the base where it was being sent from. You see, and it is sending the information. They are processing the information at the base. So all is technology. So technology is helping make the work of the military absolutely easier.
Wow, that's very interesting. The program is a podium. I'm coming to you live from the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation. We are going for a short break. After the break, the program continues. Well, let's now go to education as a way to contribute to the country's human capital development, especially on higher education, where a group of Sierra Leoneans abroad have set up a college called JULCOMS with the focus on public health, reproductive health, and laboratory technicians. Well, according to the founders, the college will contribute immensely to human resource, especially in the health sector. Well, I have in the studio Peter Williams. Welcome to the program, Peter.
You're welcome.
Okay, give us a background to this college, JULCOM.
Yeah, thanks very much. JULCOM College was founded in 2022, and we have served for the past 2 years. We had our first batch of graduation last year, and we are currently preparing again a set of students which have already completed their training to be graduated. And our major focus is to bridge the gap between the poor and the rich, and to ensure that they have equal access to education. Because we have found out that many of the colleges or the institutions, majority of the people are unable to afford the fee to pay. So we came in to ensure that we bridge that gap between them.
How are you bridging that gap? Are you doing pro bono basis?
No, we
offering free courses.
Yes, recently we offered a scholarship program for students, for secondary school students, which we call a summer school program, which we gave a scholarship for a whole month during their summer school, and hundreds of them went for that computer training, which they did not pay anything for, and then they will be graduating very soon for the office application programs.
I mean, your focus, the focus you had when you started this college was more on ICT. Now you shifted from ICT to public health, reproductive and laboratory technician courses.
Yeah.
We are moving on from the ICT to the medical field, sort of.
Yeah. So we are an institution. We are expecting us to grow at any moment. We are not limited to a single department. That is why we ensure that we handle departments sequentially. When we initially started, we knew technology is the baseline. So we started with technology, haven't succeeded.
Have you succeeded in that?
Yes.
Within the short time?
Yes, that we ensure that we are building up a capacity to, we have our threshold which we evaluate ourselves, that we have the full team to ensure the service delivery of this department is fully in place. So once we have done that, then we move to another stage. Now we are moving from the technological department. We have introduced the medical department, which we have decided to offer reproductive health, laboratory technician, and public health.
What are the criteria?
Now, we are accredited to start with certificate programs. So the criteria are 3 hours and above. So once the person have 3 hours, is qualified. So including English and math. Yes. So once you are, what we are doing is to ensure that we encourage people who have, the urge, the passion, to pursue their medical courses that do not have the complete requirement. Or even if you have the complete requirement, but you do not have the money to go to the university where you can be trained as a medical doctor.
But 3 hours can't take you to a degree course. It can only stop you to certificates.
Yes. So 1,000 miles joining start with a single step. So I think instead of you sitting down home waiting until you get the WASH requirements complete, you can start with a certificate course with us. I think that's a great foundation for you, because there are so many things that you can compare the two. Now, for instance, if you are a graduate with a certificate course and somebody is a graduate, a degree holder also with a certificate course with a degree from another institution, and you are a graduate with a certificate course and you have a degree also, it's a great advantage, even in the competitive market of job. You have more experience than that person who just went from the WAS directly to to acquire his first degree.
Okay, I mean, many times we've seen many colleges springing up, but no sooner they spring up than we hear either TEC or NCTV saying that college is not accredited. I mean, remember what we had, that Waterloo incident?
Domingo.
Yeah.
The name of the college?
Dominion.
The Dominion issue. Yeah. How credible is yours?
Yes, we are accredited by Tertiary Education Commission and the NCTV.
Okay.
So we ensured we did the necessary processes. You know, before you are accredited for any course, you will be evaluated by a set of team from both institutions to ensure the educational mandate is not jeopardized.
Okay.
So they will ensure that everything is in place. So we have gone through these processes before we came up here to ensure that the public know that we want to offer these programs.
Okay.
Now that it's a platform and an opportunity to everyone hearing me, you have an opportunity. What I want to say is very key here. Most of our fellow young Sierra Leoneans always look for a single strategy to achieve their goal. Especially, for instance, if they are limited by a society, they think everything is finished. But I'm sure there are many strategies to achieve your goal. For instance, you having some amount of words, cannot stop you. That is why we are coming in. And what we are doing now is, we are also preparing them to ensure that if ever they have to face their worst again, it will be a goal for you.
Okay.
Because with a set of team of people which we have that know more about chemistry, physics, biology, English, after our certificate program, you are well equipped for both national and international exams.
Thank you very much, William. Continue to be with us. The program is a project. Philip, now after the validation, I'm sure certain issues are going to emerge. I mean, the document is going to be looked at with critical eyes, and I'm sure there are certain issues that they will say, okay, take this one out, include this. How are you going to put all those ideas together once more and come out with something?
Yeah, as I said, the strategic document was given to a consultant under the sponsorship of UNDP.
Sierra Leone consultant?
No, a Nigerian consultant who is based in South Africa and supported by our own experts here, the public sector experts like PSC, Public Sector Reform Unit. After the validation, tomorrow and next tomorrow, where with all permanent secretaries, public sector experts will be there, including our partners, the document will be looked at, because it's like looking at the consultants' thinking and what generally from the African point of view. We were looking at public administration now from the African point of view, like principles of inclusivity, leaving no one behind is a key thing now for African administration. So after we validated, then all the comments will be collated, and a committee also will be set up to aid the consultant. They will come out with a final document.
Have you also looked at other best practices in the
several cases?
Because there is this south.
No, several. In fact, we have an agreement with Egypt, Kenya, South Africa, several.
So you want to have a hybrid model?
Well, no, we want to have an African model. We call it an hybrid. But what we say, the contemporary African administrative strategy, that is fit for purpose.
So is it going to shift from the colonial civil service that we inherited after independence?
No, you're not sure, because they are contemporary issues.
I mean, the civil service that many former colonial, African...
the strategy is about public service. I told you have the civil service and the public service. The civil service is being controlled or managed by the HRMO, and these are people within the grades of 1 to 6, and you have the ones that grade 7 to grade 13. that are managed by the head of the cabinet secretariat and so forth. We are looking at the public service, inclusive of the civil service. You understand? Bringing in systems and processes. You know, if you go to Ghana, you go to Kenya, how will the civil servant behave? You know, in terms of like introduction of the e-governance, as I told you. Then another pillar that we've introduced as a ministry is too, in addition to the medium-term development, that is gender and social inclusion. Social inclusion. Then communication and citizens engagement. Mind you, our ministry is Ministry of Public Administration and Political Affairs. You know, so in effect, this document will be looking at 8 pillars, and by the grace of God, tomorrow and Friday, we believe it will be highly exhausted.
Okay, thank you very much. Lieutenant Colonel Kurma, the modern military has also changed a lot. I mean, sometimes some countries will spend 5, 10, 15 years without even going to war, but it still has a military. And I'm sure the Otin Academy, the officers are also trained how to handle societies in peacetime. How governments can use the military to also take part in national development, national issues.
Yeah, there are several ways, and these are some of the courses that Horton Command and Staff College is actually delivering. You know, there are several sectors where the military help, you know, in development. For instance, agriculture. I'm aware that, I know you are aware that of the Army Agricultural Unit in Moyamba, which is doing a lot in that area. They are producing huge quantity of rice, and that rice is helping in the substitution of some of the rice that is being purchased by the military. So it has helped reduce the cost that the government is spending annually on rice purchases or import, you understand, because of the actions of Army Agricultural Unit. And very recently, we are currently engaged in some engineering construction work. Yeah, there are huge equipments we have brought in from Turkey by His Excellency the President, and those equipments are being given to the military, and that one is being handled by the Army engineer.
In other countries, the best engineers, the best medical doctors are found in the military.
Because it's the most disciplined and most honorable institution in the world. That's the reason. The minister can attest to that. The military is the most noble institution in the world. Yeah, they operate based on honor. They operate based on national interest. The military, everything about the military is a projection of nationalism. The military is geared towards the protection of the nation. So the people are trained with the ability to even risk their life for the protection and safety of that nation and its citizens, and to develop to protect their development. So you see, but coming to the area of the amount nations spend on their militaries, there are several factors that are around that area. One, it is based on the national income base of the nation. You know, you cannot compare, an instance, an African country to that of the United States of America.
You can't give what you don't have.
You can't give what you don't have. You see, so like the minister here, you know, there are several things that they intend to do for the military. But there are competing interests. There are competing interests, you understand? These emerging developing nations, there are several competing interests. So the government is equally, in as much as the government is trying to prioritize those things that they can do for the military, there are also other developmental areas that are competing for this little budget.
Let me bring in Major Sai Tuti from Kenya. The military in modern times, I mean, your activities have stretched. It doesn't mean that because the country is at peace, its military is going to be kept idle.
Absolutely, and I want to agree with what my colleague has said. The military cannot operate in a silo. And where we are currently, and even moving forward, we are looking at, you know, a whole of society approach. We have actually even moved further from a whole of government to a whole of society, where we are supposed to bring every actor on board: the military, the police, the civil society, non-government organizations, everybody, for us to be able to project ourselves and even, you know, advance development in our respective countries. And perhaps to just ride on that, over and above the primary role of the military, which is protection of territorial integrity and sovereignty, we also have secondary and tertiary roles, and among them includes military aid to civil authority, where during peacetime, as you've said, we are always called in upon to probably, you know, respond during disasters and emergencies. We also called in to support the civil authorities in terms of, like in my country, rehabilitation of railways, construction of ships. We have what we call the Kenya Shipyard Limited, which is run by the Kenyan military. We also called in to even take part in some of the industrial ventures like the Kenya Meat Commission and many others that I can quote. So the military plays a very key role in doing what is expected to do more than the traditional role, which is just provision of security. It goes beyond that in today and even moving forward.
Okay. Lieutenant Commander Jonathan, the tour you had at SLBC, talk a bit about that.
The tour is a privilege for us actually to interface with the media, because it has been like, being isolated somehow, if I could say that. But with the opportunities we've got today, I think this is something that will drive something in us to actually give out our best and try to be confident, to see how best we can associate with the media house. Now knowing that the media house is not something that you could shy from, but it's better you try to be interwoven so that things will happen imaginarily, as you may not, think of it, whereby they will project, sell out your up-to-date activities and all that you are doing. Coming here, I believe, is a good, something that we have actually grasped today, and we'll take it along.
Thank you, Major Komadi. Sorry, Komadi, you want to add something on that? You visited the SLBC?
Yeah, we have gone to AYV and we've gone to Star TV. You guys are helping us to propagate, to notify the nation of our activities, which we appreciate very much. Okay. We appreciate that very much.
Major, I told you, what's the relationship between the media and the military in Kenya?
It's a wonderful one, and I'm not trying to exaggerate, because we have come to learn the very significant role that the military plays. The media plays in terms of, achieving the national interests. And one of the national interests, as you may be aware, is national security. So the media plays a very pivotal role in that respect. It enables the military to set its agenda, to shape the mind and the hearts of the
Thank you very much, Mr. Tondon. As we go, what do you think is going to be the high points of these two deliberations?
Yeah, well, I just want to resound it to ask all participants that have received our letters, all public sector workers, including my brothers there, the military have been invited, the police, and all permanent secretaries to come tomorrow so that we can validate this master strategic plan of revamping the public sector education in Sierra Leone.
Okay. Well, that's it. That's how we end this edition of the podium. Thanks to all my guests, especially the 3 officers from ISLAF and 1 from Kenya. On behalf of all of us and the rest of the production team, led by my producer Salmataba, I have been your host Asmi Bat. You join me again tomorrow. God bless you. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Barcelona are going to demolish Real Madrid at the Bernabeu.
Manchester United game tonight. KM at WhatsApp 7